Welcome to episode 103 of the Camerosity Podcast, the world's first and only open source film and digital photography podcast. My name is Mike Ekman, and we're back with our first episode of 2026. On the last show, the guys and I attempted to consume mass quantities of alcoholic beverages while talking cameras. And well, we talked a lot about cameras. Tonight's episode will be more of the same. Theo has a very large piece of gas to tell us about. Paul recently reopened his eBay store. Steven can't stop buying Micro Four Thirds lenses. And Mike has had a cold for the past 4 weeks. Instead of corny introductions, let's all just say hello at once and get started. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Our timing was really off on that.
Yeah, I can merge them.
Oh, hello.
Probably funnier if you don't merge all the hellos.
Yeah. Add some crickets in there. Man, the room is filling up. We got, lots of people today. I see Mario Piper's back. Hey, Mario, how you doing?
Doing all right. How about you guys?
Oh, I'm loving the beard, man. That's beautiful.
Mario's got his winter pelt.
Thanks. How you doing, Metalhead?
Good to see ya. Yeah, Happy New Year, AJ. Ira Cohen, Pat Casey, Doug Boyle, Ron G is back again. Vlad Kern, hey Vlad, it's been a while since we've seen you too. How you been?
Hey guys, good. Yeah, Norris was spamming me some links. I clicked on it. All of a sudden, I look at all your faces, so I don't know what I'm doing here.
Oh my God, Norris is here too.
Hey, don't blame me.
Norris, Brendan from Discord's here. Will Pinkham, NP. And as always, the Zoom, Jeremy. Do we know who Jeremy is?
Yeah, Jeremy Scott.
Jeremy Scott. Okay. Hey, Jeremy. How you doing?
Doing all right.
Who's Doug Doyle? Are you first timer?
Second time. I think I mentioned the Kodak 35 2 or 3 episodes ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's full here. Oh, it looks like Fernando from Germany. We got our German caller back. We'll let him in. Yeah, so first episode of the new year, we kind of squeezed out that last one there. We recorded it on the 23rd of December. I was able to get it edited and pushed out on New Year's Eve. So that one kind of met the deadline for last year. And, we took some more extended breaks last year than we have in previous years, but we still managed to pump out 19 episodes, including hitting number 100, which is super exciting. So, since then, we kind of just been winging it. And in the announcement that I posted, someone asked, what's the topic for today? So we, once again, didn't have any major special guests. I promise you, we are working on some people. I have at least 2 that I'm really excited to be able to have come on the show, but I have not been able to get a date commitment yet. So I don't like to say anything for fear of jinxing anything. So we are trying to work on getting some special guest people you guys probably are familiar with to talk about. Norris, you had pinged me on Discord about wanting some kind of Chinese translation. If we could do a show on the Chinese camera industry, that's still a possibility too, but that's really hard to coordinate too. So we're always just trying to think of ideas, but the biggest strength of this show is you guys just coming on like you did tonight to just sort of talk with us. I alluded to in the intro that Theo has a big piece of gas that he's super excited to talk to us about. Theo, do you want to, kind of hype it up and get people excited for what may be the physically largest piece of gas? I don't know.
This is totally unprepared, so
yeah.
I'll do my best here. What's the one part of analog photography that everybody gets so excited about, so much so that they can't wait to do it, and they just, they really want to jump in and do it. And of course, I'm talking about scanning.
Yeah, scanning.
Everybody loves scanning. Well, no, my local lab, and this is a bit of a sad story to start with, is closing down here. They're moving purely to printing, and they won't be doing. And I've been working with this lab for about 25 years now, so it's a bit sad. And they were very convenient and close by. But I've got to know the guys really well, and what they did is offer me a Fuji Frontier Scanner that they have at a really bargain price. Yes.
And that's a huge piece of machine because all of our stores have one.
Yes. So first part was working out where to actually put it. So that's why we're talking about big gas, because it's just physically big. And not only that, he then turns around and he goes, oh, I have a full second one as well, which I use for parts, which is coming to you as well. So I've got storage for a second one, but at least I've got parts for it as well. So now this is for people that can't visualize this. This is actually a full desk setup, and by the time you store all the components of it, you've got shelves above that as well. It runs off its own PC, which runs on the fully up to date Windows 2000, and not connected to anything except another PC, because what this was designed for was to be connected to the wet printing. So this is the SP2000. So what they've done is they've connected it with software to another PC, which is also running Windows 2000, which actually then picks up the actual files instead of going to a wet printer, and then you've got your digital files. And you can do this in lots of different ways, including bitmaps, so you get the total lossless full scanning. The actual fantastic bit is I had my first lesson on it on last week, and I had 2 rolls of film that I had in with the lab, and he goes, come on, let's do yours. I scanned both rolls within 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. So at high resolution, they were JPEGs in this case for the example. So I'm really excited, because one of the things I do spend a lot of time with my Nikon CoolScan is scanning in the film, because I want to scan it in myself. I don't see the point of shooting film and then having it scanned for you. Other people have different views, which is quite valid as well. But for me, that's the bit I want to put a bit of a creative side of it as well. So being able to scan a couple of rolls in 5 to 10 minutes was an absolute pleasure. So I'm looking forward to having that transported over. We've got a whole bunch of logistics being worked out. I have to hire a van, get things over. In one case, I have to actually remove a door so I can actually get it into a room. So it's that big. So AJ's nodding because he knows these machines for the looks of it as well. And Stephen's just smiling, giving me the look, oh, yep, you're in for a real pain. But it's all fully working. It's all fully calibrated. And I'm getting all the different film size holders. And it's just something I'm really looking forward to actually just cut down my time and concentrate more on being on the creative process. I think Doug's got a question here.
Yeah, well, not so much a question. I'm actually jealous as all hell, but I'm watching a little project coming out of Europe right now. The group is called Kokke, Kokke, and they're developing a 35 millimeter film scanner, brand new, that'll work on all current systems and everything, and it'll scan a whole roll of film in apparently about 5 minutes at about 24 megapixels per negative. Mm-hmm. So it's 4,000 pixels across the short length of the negative, which I'm pretty excited for.
What was the name again?
Kokke, Kokke.
Okay, I'll have to have a look into that. But obviously, I'm not going to be buying another scanner now, so I've got this one coming, and it's equivalent. I think the sizing's equivalent. The beauty of this one is it also does anything up to. It does 6x9. It can actually do 6 by wider than that. So when you get the wide formats, but I've also got holders for the X-Pan size as well, so I can get X-Pan film scanned within a few minutes as well. So I'm quite happy with that. They also gave me a professional printer, one of those roll printers as well, to actually be able to print my own, which prints anything up from 8-inch to 38-inch in terms of length. So I've had a bit of trouble trying to get that one up and going, but I'm keen to also start printing my own work now. So that's a little bit of a big gas acquisition on my part.
Is it physically massive just because that was the technology of the day, or it's professional so it's robust? Is there a logical reason it's physically huge?
I think it's because it was supposed to be connected as part of a whole mini lab setup.
Yeah, exactly. That was the input for the mini lab output. It's like we have the actual printer that's directly connected to we have an SP3000. All of our labs have the SP3000. And actually, we're kind of screwed because we don't have as many formats as you have, Theo. we're stuck with basically 35 millimeter. We had to have 3D printed templates for the half frame when the half frame got popular.
Right. Okay. No, I've been given templates, everything down to 110 through to 120 film. So
Minox shooters are out of luck.
yeah.
The good news is, AJ, there's no tariffs from Australia to Canada, so
Well, I was just
Theo,
about to say is that we're gonna have to start sending our stuff down to Theo.
Yeah.
I just have to see what the delay is going to be on shipping.
So Theo, you've leapfrogged to like the most ultimate home scanning option, but does this suggest that you might eventually start home developing, or are you still going to be?
Yeah, I think it will be, because the lab's going away. The replacement lab that I'll probably deal with won't be as convenient. I will probably use them at the moment because I'm just working 10-hour days with my actual day job to pay for all this stuff as well. So I probably don't have time to sit down and start learning how to develop properly again. It's been years since I've done it. I think I've developed a roll of film, apart from a couple of rolls in Thailand early last year. It's been like 10, 15 years. So I'd have to really sit down and get myself into it again. So with that, I want to leave that for a future date. But yes, that probably is where I'll end up at some point. But for now, I'll get the lab to sort of process the film and just provide it to me uncut.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
You get your film processed, but then scan it yourself. Do you deal with dust on your negatives at all, or is it pretty dust free?
Yeah, I do. I've got a process of just making sure I blow the crap out of it and get it fairly good and fairly clean. With color film at the moment, I get the dust removal. The Nikon dust removal is fantastic. Unfortunately, I'm taking a step back on that one with the SP2000 because that's the difference between the one AJ has and the one I have in terms of the way they scan. The SP3000 has dust removal. The SP2000 doesn't. But even in the lab environment where we quickly did it just so I can learn, I think we ended up with 3 dots of dust through the whole roll of film. So if you do it properly, I'm also getting one of those electric fan-driven static brush mechanisms where you run your film through. Maybe, AJ, you can describe it a little bit better than I can, but you run it through and it's got soft brushes which are anti-static. I think they pull the dust off with that, and then there's a little fan at the back.
Yeah.
That's similar to the thing that they used to use to clean records off with?
The bristle's about the same. It's about the same softness, but it's also with the fan, the current of air passing over it keeps the dust off the film. The bristles actually kind of demagnetize not the polyester, but the acetate at the same time as removing the dust at the same time.
Some of the bristles are actually metal. It's an electrostatic type thing. It works very well.
Kind of looks more like a paintbrush than a short little brush that you would use for records. It's longer bristles type of thing.
Yeah.
Is that while it's drying, or is that after it's dry? Because I know it seems
That's
like
after dry.
After drying? Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that because it seems like the dust adheres to the emulsion after it's dried, and then it's really difficult to get off.
Generally, Mario, that's generally residue from the process. You want to use an anti-static, a wetting agent at the last step, and it depends on where you live. Generally you'll use it with distilled water. I know some people nowadays are just using dish soap, but I don't like that. A non-ionic wetting agent like Edwall LFN, low foam, non-ionic wetting agent. And use it only with distilled water, because if you use it if your tap water has any sort of chemical, alkali in it or any sort of sediment, it'll deposit it on the film and it's really hard to get off.
Yeah, our water is fairly mineralized, and I've used the dish soap before, and it leaves residue on it. Yeah. So I just started using a little bit of what do they call it? The spot free stuff for dishwashers. Yeah. Just like one drop, and that doesn't seem to work very much either.
You can find Edwall LFN or PhotoFlow. Kodak PhotoFlow that was standard in the industry for years.
Lucky for me, over the years, I've got like 8 bottles of the little PhotoFlow 200.
Wow.
That I've just accumulated, and that stuff never goes bad.
1 ounce of it does 55 gallons or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't take much.
I don't put nearly as much effort as some of you do into making my prints dust-free, water spot-free. I use tap water. I don't use distilled water, but I do use photo flow. And I think it's definitely not a cure-all for every possible malady, but it does get you pretty good. You know, if you have to cut something and take some shortcuts somewhere in terms of, you know, what water supply or what tools you have available to you, in my opinion, don't cut out the photo flow. Like Paul said, incredibly dilute. One bottle lasts you a long time, and it's cheap. I mean, it's like what, $12, $13 a bottle.
Oh yeah, the bottle lasts you forever.
Yeah, I've been thinking about getting it for years, and I just haven't. But dust is the bane of my existence.
I honestly, the Ilford orange, what do they call it?
Antistaticum.
This thing I love. This, if you use it though, you do not wash. Okay, I've got this one. I've had it for at least 10 years, and it's not dirty. It's just it really, it doesn't damage the film. It doesn't scratch, and it does demagnetize slightly the film before I put it in my flatbed scanner.
I probably got 20 of those around the house in various places. I mean, they were just terrific for that kind of stuff.
When you say you don't wash it, do you mean don't put it in the laundry, or don't wash it, like rinse it at all?
At all. Because there is some kind of a solution in the fabric.
Okay.
And if you do wash it, you know, the chlorine in the water, the drinking water, whatever, is going to dry it out.
And if you're working in a really low humidity environment, dust is a negatively charged particle. So if you can add some humidity to your darkroom space, it makes the dust particles fall to the floor. And that can help a lot, more than you actually expect. So every darkroom session I ever do, I mop the floors and just let the leftover moisture from mopping the floors go into the environment there.
Yeah, I usually run the shower on hot for like a minute or so and let it kind of steam up. And that's what I thought, too, that it would capture the dust and let it fall.
I've never heard that tip before. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's great if you want to clean a sensor on a digital camera as well. Just steam up your bathroom a little bit.
Yeah.
Fernando just said that ADOX also has a... Fernando, you said it was in the chat, you said it had a great liquid film cleaner. Is it a cleaner or is it an anti-static?
No, it's a liquid. I have it here. It's very great.
It's a film cleaner, though?
Yeah, let me show it.
No, what I was going to say was in the U.S., there's a product called PEC 12, which is a photographic emulsion cleaner that is probably the best film cleaner you can buy today. The Kodak film cleaner was terrific, and there's still a lot of people still has it, but I don't think they've made it in years. But PEC 12 is readily available.
And that's a liquid?
Yeah, it's a liquid.
Okay.
Yep. And they make something called PEC pads that are safe to use with it. Okay, yeah. So ADOX in Europe has a film cleaner. It's probably very similar to the Kodak film cleaner.
How do you use that?
I use it with a cotton swab, gently. And so if you got water spots or anything like that, it's got a lot of, I don't know if it's alcohol or ether, but it dries almost immediately.
Yeah, ether, yes.
Yeah, so you wipe it very gently. If you do it gently, it won't scratch your film.
And don't go near a fire.
No, it will explode.
Yes.
And you can do that on the emulsion side too?
Yeah, you do it on either side.
Okay.
So this has got me really excited because I'm getting not just the scanner and its PC, I'm getting the receiving PC as well, which I can then connect up to a USB disk and just be able to bring across. But what really amazed me with the process was when you first feed the film in to these machines, I thought it would go, tack, 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 and bring it in. It just literally sucks it up in about a second, brings up the photos on your screen. You go through and add density and color correct, which takes the most amount of time. So you do that for a few minutes, and then you say, yep, done, finished job. And because it treats it like a job, like a film lab job. You say, done. And it just literally just spits the film out and says, done. It's all scanned. And it's continuous in the way that it actually feeds it through. I had absolutely no idea that it could be that fast. I'm really looking forward to going down that rabbit hole now and just catching up on my archives as well, because I've got thousands of frames that just have never really been scanned properly.
What was your previous scanning solution, Theo?
My previous scanning solution was a Nikon Coolscan 4000 for 35 millimeter and a Epson V850 for medium format and a large format. And it's been a great solution, to be honest, and it's worked well. And it was all hooked up to a Mac Pro with a FireWire connection for the Coolscan and USB for the Epson. I have the old trash can Mac Pro. When I upgraded up to the Mac Studio, I decided that I didn't want to deal with having to convert everything over. So I just took everything off that Mac Pro and it became a dedicated computer for the scanners. So I've kept that, and I'm glad I did, because we've lost Anthony for a little bit. He's having a few connection issues, ironically, but he actually is going through the process at the moment where his scanners have stopped working because the latest Mac update has actually just removed the FireWire support completely. So I'm glad I did that previously, because I've got a closed ecosystem for those as well. And to be fair, the Coolscan's probably a better quality scan than the actual Frontier. So if there's anything that's really important for me, I can just run those particular frames through it and probably enhance the longevity and life of that Coolscan as well.
It would be an interesting, while you have an opportunity to maybe have all three solutions running at the same time, a future photo thinking article to maybe the same strip of film, 3 ways to, do kind of a pro and a con of each method, just so people can really see. Because I think a lot of people just assume flatbed scanners leave a little bit on the table in terms of detail, like you're not able to get the most that you possibly can, which is probably true. But how much truly are those of us that only use flatbed scanners, are we losing to a dedicated scanner like the Nikon or, something more professional?
Yeah, what I found between the two scanners, the flatbed and the Coolscan, was the color depth was never quite there with the flatbeds on 35 millimeter. I seem to be able to get it out on medium format, but on 35 millimeter, they just came out very washed out. I could never quite get it right. I've never actually had a real explanation why it works on the bigger format and it doesn't really work on a smaller format.
What are you using to convert your images from negative to positive?
The last few years has been Negative Lab Pro.
I've been doing the same thing for the last couple of years, and with the 35 millimeter, I haven't seen much problems with that.
And that could be it, because when I did my test previously, it was before Negative Lab Pro came to life. So that could be the difference.
Before that, I just reversed inverted the curve, right? The tone curve.
Yeah.
Bring it back to a positive. And that I found that from that to Negative Lab Pro was a big difference.
Which did you find was better?
It was better with Negative Lab Pro than I could ever pull out of Photoshop or Lightroom by inverting the curve.
We were yakking earlier just among ourselves about film scanning, and I go back to the Epson 1200s with the scanning lid to scan film. It was so old that there was a new software program at that time. They gave you a lifetime subscription to it. It was called Photoshop. I used that for a long time, and then I've been through a lot of different film scanners, Minolta, Scan Multis, the Nikons, all kinds of them, and currently was using an Epson 850. And I was struggling with, I'd spent a lot of money on film holders, better film holders, and tried to dial in focus. And a couple months ago, I'd always poo-pooed the idea of using a digital camera to scan. It just seemed like, a shortcut that was just asking for trouble. And a local guy who I know quite well had one he wanted to sell. It was a lobster holder made in Romania. And it was an entire system. It was a 3D printed film holder, a Cinestill light source, some carriers. So it was dirt cheap. So I bought it. And at this point, I will never go back to using a flatbed scanner to scan. The results that I'm getting using a mirrorless camera is really terrific, because you're able to, what you see is what you're going to get. I'm using a Fuji X Pro 2 with the Zeiss Tuit 50 millimeter macro lens. So I can get 1:1 on 35 millimeter, and I can scan up to 6:9. So the resolution is greater than I'm able to get on the V850. I can't say that the color depth is as good, but it certainly works well enough for what I do. And I did go to Negative Lab Pro, and I agree with AJ. I tried it using the reversing the curves on Lightroom, and Negative Lab Pro is just so much simpler to work with.
We had Dan Cuny jumped in while we were talking too, and while Paul was talking about digitizing, he commented that that's his preferred method too, and also NP from Discord. So I don't know if either one of you two guys have anything you wanted to throw in.
Hey everybody, first time caller.
Hello.
You guys, some of you know me from the Discord. Apologies, I'm cooking dinner right now, so. No, it's because I have the lobster holder too, Paul, and I just finally this past weekend set it all up to a point where I was able to scan 30 rolls that I had kind of backed up in the waiting room, if you will, and I think I did the whole thing, all 30 rolls in like an hour or something like that. So it's certainly better than the old ad hoc thing that I was doing before with the tripod and all that crap. And I think I had the digitalizer or something, one of those other scanner things. But I also, though, I wanted to point out to Theo that I picked up a Cool Scan 5 or 3 or something like that a couple of months back at a garage sale for like $20. It uses FireWire, and of course, nothing supports FireWire anymore. But there was a guy on Reddit about 4 months back, like right after I bought the thing, that had posted a video on YouTube and like sent out a link to Reddit, basically showing exactly how to set up a VM that could actually run a USB to FireWire adapter and apparently get those things to work. So I haven't tried it yet. I'm hoping it works because it came complete. So that's going to be another thing I can mess with hopefully in the next few months.
The one thing I'll say though with the Cool Scan, it's such a complete system. I've actually got the slide feeder as well, and that's one thing I'm not going to move to the Frontier, because it's so convenient to put in 30 plus slides in there and just put them in and just let it go tack through it and work its way through. The Frontier is not really good on slides. It's really geared up around negatives and full strips of film. So I'm sort of covering all my bases this way at the moment. But those Cool Scans, I mean, if you can get it working, if you don't end up using it, don't just throw it out. They're worth a fair bit of money these days. I'm surprised that slide feeder alone, I look it up and they're selling for like $600 or $700, and they go, wow, this is 25-year-old tech.
Yeah, the lobster holder system actually has a slide adapter, you can toss on top too, but it's very manual. It's drop one on, drop one on, drop one on. So
it's funny, the kit that I bought, he had the 35 millimeter film holder, the 6x7, the 6x9 as the default, but it didn't have the slide holder. So I really wanted the slide holder. So I contacted the lobster people in Romania. It was $12. Shipping was $30. The tariff was $24. So by the time I got the whole thing, I had like $56 in this $12 piece of 3D printed plastic. Fortunately, it worked so well that I immediately was able to put that behind me and go ahead and just use it for what it is.
Yeah, I bought it all before the tariffs hit, but I feel that pain.
It's a nice system for what it is. I mean, because the Negative Lab Supply, or not, is it Negative Lab Supply makes the metal ones the big deal.
Yeah.
And they're $1,000 by the time you get everything that you need. This is complete. Is like $180 for everything except a copy stand.
What are the camera requirements for the mirrorless camera scanning?
Really, anything you want. I prefer the mirrorless just because you're getting what you see is what you get for exposure, color, crop, all that. A DSLR would work fine. It's just that it would be wise to review your image after you shoot it just to see if you needed to make any exposure correction. But with the mirrorless, since what you see is what you get, you really don't need to do that.
That's the system I use, and you just connect, just do a connect from your camera straight into your computer, and save to memory on the computer. One less thing to do. You can certainly save it on the camera, of course, but then I can use my monitor and I can sort of correct them as I go along. As I'm scanning, I'm sort of correcting each frame as I scan it, and it's a classic example. There are probably better ways, but this is so nice and smooth that I'm scanning stuff I wouldn't scan otherwise, so it's a win.
Paul, in addition to just being mirrorless, though, isn't a full frame camera kind of a requirement? Like, you couldn't do that with a crop sensor, could you?
Yeah, I do. I use the crop sensor.
So do I. If you like the images coming out of a crop sensor anyway, why not, the images, the scanned images? So yeah, it works. It works just fine. Well,
if you're going to do a full frame sensor and a 35 millimeter piece of film, then you need a lens that goes 1-to-1.
Yeah.
In order to get if you're going to fill the frame. If you don't care about filling the frame, then you can crop it later on in the post. I tried it with the Sony, which is full frame, and I have a 1-to-1 macro lens. And what I found was that the lens was too close to the film. I didn't have enough working distance for it to really be comfortable to do it. So I went to the Fuji and the APS-C. I think the front element of the lens was 3 inches from the film itself. So I had a little more convenient working distance, and still 36 megapixels is plenty.
What do you do with 120 film, though? I mean, isn't the point of shooting 6x9 to get a lot more resolution? Do you do the whole frame in one go, Paul, or do you do?
Sure. Yeah, you just raise the copy stand. The light source is 4x5 inches, so I've done 4x5. You just raise the camera up to get to the proper working distance to get the full frame of the film.
Is having the camera further away, is light pollution a concern?
No, actually the lobsters come with some shields.
Okay.
Well, you can buy them. The kit that you have does probably, Paul, but
yes.
Yeah, if you're getting them new, you can opt to do it or not to do it. Actually, what I do use is an old lens bag that I just tie up around my lens, I cut the bottom off of it so I can just drop it right down onto the film holder.
Yeah, make yourself a little cone or something to cover it, because basically that's all the shields are.
Or just do it in the dark.
Yeah, you could do it either way.
There's a cheapskate option if you don't want a spring for a macro lens. I use an enlarger lens because that's what they're designed for. It works just fine. I guess an L Nikkor.
So you put it on a bellows?
Yep. Yes, that's the thing. I mean, if you go out and buy a bellows, if you're going to do all that, of course, a macro lens is just fine. But I had the bellows already. Didn't want to buy a macro lens. Had the enlarging lens. The whole thing fit together, and away I go.
With enlarging lenses, they've got the flat field as well, don't they? Because they're designed for flatness.
Yeah, especially when you reverse it so that you are putting the back of the lens towards the film, which is what it was designed to do. So it works perfectly.
I just found that, at my advanced age, I went to autofocus. So the autofocus just works slick on film scanning, and you don't have to worry about it.
Yep, I agree.
I started a workshop last year over 2 days on film, from shooting to developing to scanning. And for the scanning part, I do all 4. I do scanning with a camera, scanning with a flatbed, scanning with those little robots. I call them the R2D2, which is they're yellow, has a little screen on it. You put the SD card inside, you run your film through it, and it basically just takes a 20 megapixel photo of the image projected in the body. I cannot remember for the life of me.
Panaview made them at one time in the US.
It's made by Wolverine, I think. And then the other one was using the digitalizer with the iPhone. And from my own personal experience, I have been using my flatbed scanner. If it's just to share your images digitally, the photo scanning works fine enough, because you got to remember you're always only limited to the resolution of the sensor. But if I want to truly scan at the full resolution, like Theo was saying, a 6x9, nothing resolution wise will beat the flatbed scanner, because what happens is I'll use the flatbed scanner, let's say for instance on a 6x9 at 4,800 DPI. It might take 5 minutes to scan per image, but the file size is close to 1.5 gigs.
Yes.
Right? So when you're taking a photo using a macro lens, like my A7 III with a 24 megapixel camera, and I'm just adjusting the height of the camera to fill that 6:9, I'm still getting a 24 megapixel quality photo. And the other thing is also that you have to realize is that the pixels on a camera sensor on the majority are square and it's a mosaic. When you scan it physically on a flatbed scanner, the scanner can pull out literally almost the form of the grain in that film that a camera can't achieve. Like I said, though, both ways are valid. If it's something for speed, if it's something because I need to absolutely share immediately that day or whatever, I will use the camera scanning.
And if it's online use only, yeah, and for most smaller printing, you won't notice the difference.
Exactly. But when you start to print it at a 17 by 25, that's where you're going to start to see, and not that I'm trying to brag or anything like that, but I'm still a print photographer.
And I'm glad you brought that up, AJ, because that's where I wanted to talk about FOMO. You know, I have been hearing, yeah, he's holding up a beautiful print that he made. I've been hearing about digitizing for so many years, and there's some people that love it so much, they almost like think you're an alien speaking a foreign language if you still use a flatbed scanner. And you guys can't see it, but I have the Epson V750 sitting next to me. And while I acknowledge I could probably eke out some more detail on some of my 35 millimeter negatives, everyone here has seen at least one of my reviews before. The sample images I post were scanned in on this scanner, and I don't think they look bad. Could they be a little better? Yeah, but I don't think, like, what I'm trying to say is anyone who maybe is in my boat and thinks, wow, I'm not a real film photographer unless I do digitizing. I must, flatbed scanners are terrible and only losers would use them. Like, that's not the case at all. And especially with what AJ said, when you get in the medium format, 6x9s on the Epson look fantastic. And I feel like the larger you go, the better flatbeds are, or at least I should say, the less you're leaving on the table, I should say. So to anyone listening, I would love to do digitizing. In fact, next time, Paul, I come to your house, I want to see your setup because you guys are talking about lobsters and I have no freaking clue what you're talking about here. But I think if I could see it and like you could show it to me, that might drive me to want to actually make that change. But for now, my process has been with this flatbed, and I had the V500 before this one, but I'm happy with it. And I don't feel like I absolutely need to switch to digitizing because I don't feel like I'm missing for what I'm doing with my images, sharing them online and camera reviews. I'm not losing out as much as I think some people possibly think they are.
Mike, I understand, AJ, what you said is absolutely, I agree 100%. It's you use the tool that gives you the result for what you need to wind up with.
Yeah, absolutely.
My problem with the V850 was that I could never get it completely calibrated for focus. I could never get the height set correctly for the scanning depth. And I bought the better scan holders, which are, they have actually an adjustment. So you can adjust it to what you need. And I fought that thing for months.
Yeah, and see, I don't have that problem. I mean, I don't do anything special. I mean, in fact, half the time when I'm sticking in like 120 in the Epson holders, it's not perfectly flat. So there's a little bit of a little bow, but I don't see it on the screen when I'm done.
You have the same holders. The 750 uses the same holders as the 850.
They're the plastic stock ones, yeah.
Yeah, and they actually have an adjustment on them.
They have little feet.
You tweak it to get it to the correct distance. Fernando's holding them up. I just fought it so long and so hard that when I started using the camera to scan, it was like a breath of fresh air. I mean, I had any problem. All of a sudden, everything was, the sun was out, and it was just...
Paul, I'm all with you. For efficiency, for speed, camera scanning is there.
If you're going to pre-press or something like that, as you say, then you need a higher resolution scan. I've been actually thinking about using the Hasselblad X2D. You should. It's a 200 megabyte file.
Yeah.
So I mean, it should pop up pretty well on the on a piece of 120 film.
Well, you can also get into digital cameras that have pixel shift high resolution modes where they'll use their sensor shift image stabilization to move the sensor around. And they're doing sort of half pixel increments to increase resolution. They're doing full pixel shifts so that rather than having that Bayer pattern where a pixel is only picking up red or green or blue, it's moving it around so it samples red and green and blue at every single location. And you're getting something where like a 40 megapixel Fuji camera is giving you a 160 megapixel output image. And some of the, like the Panasonic full frame cameras, the L mount cameras, they're going from a 24 megapixel camera producing a 96 megapixel output, and the higher res, like they've got a 40 or 50 megapixel sensor that produces a nearly 200 megapixel image with the pixel shift.
Yeah, the problem with pixel shift is you got to really you have to have a really stable base.
Yes.
And you got to make sure that nothing is moving within that. I used to sell those backs many years ago, and I can still remember doing a 16-shot picture, and this was on the third story of a building, and a truck went by, and the film was the image was ruined. So It has to be unbelievably stable.
Yeah, concrete floor in the basement is ideal.
Yes,
but guys, the other thing we got to think about too, and this is something that I constantly repeat over and over in the classes that I give. To what point do we need that kind of a resolution?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right? We know as film photographers, we know that when we look at a photo, we're looking at the complete photo at 3 or 4 feet. The biggest problem I've seen over the years with digital photography is that we manipulate our digital images on screens that are completely less resolution than what our sensors can produce.
Mm-hmm.
And that's brought on a community over the last 20 years of pixel peepers.
You look at it at 500% that you would never print at that size.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And this is something that comes up in all my classes. It comes up over and over and over again. And I'm constantly telling people, guys, you're not looking at the image at 500%. But evidently the pixel peepers want to see how far in the landscape they can go and resolve. Oh, wow. At 5 kilometers away, there's a cardinal. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I have a 16 by 24 canvas print that I printed off of a 35 millimeter negative I shot and a Pentax Spotmatic of my son. And it's 16 by 24 and scanned in on my flatbed scanner, sent off to Snapfish, or I don't even remember who, Canvas Champ. I don't remember who printed it. And it looks beautiful. Like I have it on the wall. It's one of the favorite images I've ever shot in my entire life because my son's standing in those fountains downtown Chicago and Millennium Plaza. And it just, the reflection of him in the water, and it's such a beautiful picture. But comparatively to like what these modern 20, 40, 80, 100 megapixel digital cameras are able to do, the amount of detail that I had, it holds up incredibly well, even on a 16 by 24 print. So, for those of us who like to play around, Dan, I wanted you to talk at some point on your site. You've been, for the month of January, reviewing older digital cameras. And I think everybody on this call at one time has kind of gone backwards to some of the early 21st century digital cameras with, the Fuji Fine Pics, the DSLRs with 3 to 6 megapixel images. And when you get over the number and you just look at the image, you're like, this actually looks really good. A Nikon D1 still makes good images. You don't need all those pixels.
Yeah, I was looking through some of my images last night of my son when he was really little, and that was like 17 years ago. And the photos the camera that I used to shoot that was a Panasonic LX3, really small sensor, but beautiful images. And, it just made me think, what is a large sensor and a small sensor? What difference does it really, really make? Because they're all beautiful images.
Yep. Now, this week, I'm going to be talking about the Canon what is this? The PowerShot 350. This is a 0.36 megapixel camera. The largest file I get out of this is 148 kilobytes.
Wow. That's even smaller than the Sony, the Mavica, the floppy.
Yeah, that's next week's camera.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do next week. And then the final week, I'm going to be doing. Oh, let me get this camera for you.
While he's getting it, for anyone who's never shot the floppy disk Sony Mavica, hitting the shutter release and then hearing the sound of a floppy drive grinding away is like nostalgia.
The last week, I'm going to be doing the Cool Pix 100. So this is a camera that has a PCM CIA card built into it.
Oh my goodness.
So the hardest thing was, the biggest thing, and I'm going to probably write about it mostly, is I had to find a computer that would take a PCM CIA card. I had to go on eBay and buy a computer for $70 because I couldn't find one locally. I just wanted to download the images, but nobody had one.
Dan, is that actually fixed in? Is that actually fixed into the camera?
Built into the camera.
Oh, so you can't get a PC, because I did a review on the RD175, and it uses the PCM. I can't remember the actual letters, but you could get the card with compact flash attachment, so you could actually just insert that. But that one's fixed in. Wow.
Yeah. You can actually buy a PCM CIA card reader, which I did buy, which is USB, but those only do PCM CIA ATA cards, which are the current ones and not the older style, which is what this is.
So Dan, did that camera have an output?
So no, you have to plug the PCM CIA card into the computer to download the images.
So Nikon did not build an output into the camera itself.
No.
You end up with your camera dangling out of the side of your laptop.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you have.
Wild.
Yeah. So those are my next 3 weeks cameras that I'm going to be talking about. So hopefully nobody will steal my thunder.
You have to jump through more hoops to shoot vintage digital cameras than any film camera. Like it's easier to shoot a Kodak string set box camera than it is some of these 90s. Because, Theo mentioned the Minolta RD175, and we just had a discussion privately. Steven has one, I have one, and Theo has one. And it's like, what are the odds that 3 hosts of the same show have the same obscure 1995 Minolta DSLR? And while that camera isn't quite as, dangling off of a PCM CIA card like Dan's is, the one thing that's really difficult with that camera is even if you get storage that works on it, you have to format it a very specific way. You can't just get an adapter, plug the flash card into a modern computer and format it with NTFS or FAT32 or whatever file systems we use today. You actually have to find an original disk image that somebody made years ago using software that originally came with the camera, and then burn it, in essence, to the card that you're using a proprietary file system. And then and only then can the camera read it. But even after you do that, it doesn't even write JPEGs. Like, it uses a proprietary image format that, once again, no modern computer, not even Photoshop, can natively read. So, I mean, you can get those cameras to work. All 3 of us have done it. Theo has a wonderful review on his site. And Theo, you did such a good job on your RD175 review. That's kind of why I never did it, because, I don't want to repeat everything you did. Maybe I'll do it one day. But it is pretty neat to get a camera of that vintage working, but the amount of hoops that you have to jump through, even if you even some of the late 90s when USB ports started to become common, it's USB, but it's not USB A, B, or C. It's USB Fuji. Some goofy 10-pin connector that you have to order a camera or a cable on eBay or something.
It's funny, when I was shooting the Canon today, I was downloading the images, and there are, the highest resolution is 148 kilobytes, but all of the thumbnail images were 2 kilobytes, which I find pretty amazing.
That's tiny.
It's pretty interesting that you actually bring up the old digital camera, because this is one of the things I was playing with today. I was actually shooting the floppy Mavica for about 3 years back in 2000. And recently I picked up, I always seen these things, but I never tried them. So I picked up one of these Mavica mini disc cameras that
that's
take
cool.
like those mini CDs, and I was wondering about them, how they worked. This is actually a 5 megapixel camera, and it's and I had to find a battery for the charger, and I bought like a whole stack of CDRs because I bought a Mavic CDR-W, brand new, sealed in a box. It arrived from eBay. I unpacked it, and it was dead. So I figured CDR-W somehow, they're really hard to find too, because only Mavic made them. Everything else is DVD-RWs, and this one only takes CDR-W. So I just picked up a pack of CDRs, and it's quite interesting. When you first put it in, it makes you initialize the disk, and it says put it on a stable surface. It's like one of those old CD technologies that didn't have any shock protection. So you have to like put it and do not touch it until initialize the disk. And then every time you get like a picture, you cannot move, because if you move and it skips, you're done. Your picture is. It's quite an interesting concept. I'm going to play around with it a little bit, but impractical. But I haven't gotten pictures out yet.
Oh, you haven't? Okay. All right. That's what I was going to ask.
I don't have a disk drive anymore, so I have to buy a...
Then, Vlad, you have to finalize the disk also.
Yes.
When you're done, it's important that you have to finalize it in order to be able to...
Oh, the CDR.
Yes.
I thought the CDR-W was the only one.
No,
CDR as well.
the CDRs also you have to finalize.
Oh, geez. Interesting. Good bit of
You can keep using the disk as long as you haven't finalized it. But once you finalize it, it's done. You can't write any more to the disk.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's all coming back to me now.
In addition, you mentioned batteries too. I mean, that's an issue. You know, sometimes you can get lucky and still find modern equivalent batteries for certain older cameras, but a lot of them you can't. And Paul, you would loan me the Nikon E2, which was an early DSLR, and you had a battery for it, but it did not hold a charge. And the only way I was able to use it is, thankfully, you also had the AC adapter.
Right.
So I was able to plug it into the wall and then use the camera. But I'm like, well, I don't want to be limited in just shooting pictures around my house. So I went on Amazon and bought one of those little power inverters that you plug into the cigarette lighter of your car, and it gives you an AC outlet for your car. So I bought that, set it on my seat, got the AC adapter for the digital camera with an extension cord, plugged it into the front seat of my car, and then I drove around my neighborhood, and I could get out of the car, but only the length of the cord was to take pictures of it around my neighborhood. So, like, again, just the number of hoops, whether it's file systems, storage, batteries, file formats, it's just crazy.
It seems like the KA-Star company, they actually have a huge variety.
They have a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. So it seems like that's like 90% of the batteries are coming from them, especially on Amazon. And I've bought a lot because I ended up like buying a lot of digital cameras for my daughter because she started collecting. I had to build her a bookcase. But yeah, they've had most of the batteries, even for like really old stuff.
A lot of the 90s and very early DSLRs used like huge battery packs. Like think of the old school VHS camcorders. Those things had like a laptop battery. That's kind of like what a lot of those earlier cameras used, and those can be difficult to find replacements for.
Sony was always pretty good about standardizing to a certain extent. They used what they call the NP550, and the lesser voltage or less power was the 330. But those were relatively easy to find. They fit most of the Mavicas, so that makes them a little bit more usable. I saw something earlier today. It was interesting. It was a floppy disk that came apart, and you put an SSD inside. Now, I don't know why anyone would want to do that, unless you happen to have your computer that had a floppy disk drive that you really wanted to use for some reason. But I thought it was one of those great ideas that makes absolutely no sense.
There's actually a bunch of old industrial systems that still require floppy drives, so factory floor equipment. So,
okay.
And apparently there's one guy in the States who's kind of got the whole market in floppy disks and factories that would otherwise collapse. And they're just putting it off the technology upgrade because they can still get a floppy drive. But once those are gone, it'll be all over and big factory upgrades to spend money on.
So this is something that would work for that use.
I did a recent contract with a building materials company that, fires up and creates bricks and so on. They've got machines that get big boulders and grind it down and create bricks. But the whole oven network machine is still driven off floppy disks. So there's still valid uses of them. So, but maybe what we need to do is make it a comeback. You know, we're trying to push film and people going back to analog. Maybe we need to push people back into floppy disks.
Well, ask Boeing airplanes. They update with floppies.
Oh my God.
They do. Yeah.
A lot of trains as well run on floppies.
There is, you know, though, if you take a step back to what we've been discussing, we're a hobbyist group shooting film cameras, which itself is an antiquated, older technology, but we do it, right? So we're shooting old film cameras, developing our own film, but now we're running into issues where the modern technology allows us to digitize this with FireWire support disappearing from Apple computers and batteries no longer holding charges. We then have other obstacles that we have on top of the obstacles that we already do for ourselves shooting old cameras. So it's like we're kind of like double and triple whamming ourselves with obsolescence. So you have to really want to do some of these cameras, but boy, is it fun.
Well, you know, and we were talking earlier today about this is another whammy. One of our listeners is a guy named Jim Anderson from Salt Lake City. Jim started a little company called Film Lab Stuff, and he sells 3D printed film reels that he makes to fit in either Patterson or Jobo tanks. Two that he has in particular that caught my eye were APS and disc. So you have some leftover APS film or some disc film, then you want to shoot it. He makes the reels, put them in your tank, process it. Then what do you do with it? How do you scan a disc film? I mean, a disc film is the tiniest thing that I can imagine. I mean, many labs were able to do it because they had dedicated scanners for it. But APS is not as much of an issue because it comes out of the cassette, and then you can make your own film holder for it if you wanted to. But you process the film, and then you have the problem of trying to get some scan. What do you think, AJ? Have you had it? Has that come up with you?
We don't have any, like our mini labs don't have any of the discs. Well, we've gotten customers bring back the actual film discs, but there's nobody here in Montreal or that we know of that actually still processes that, or I should say scans those, because like you said many times before, Kodak had a specific system for that optically.
I've never done this before, so I would like to try it. But I heard that if you have an old disc cartridge and you want to scan those images, crack it open and take the disc out. And the actual emulsion is on like a hub, like a little plastic hub that's like it squeezes the film together as part of the cartridge. And the thickness of that hub is the exact height that the film needs to be off the glass on a flatbed scanner to where you're correctly in the focal plane. So all you need to do, from what I've heard, is crack open the case, take the actual film disc out, no film holder at all. Just stick the thing directly on the glass of your flatbed scanner, and the film will already be at the correct height. And you just scan the entire thing, and then you go and crop out each of the 15 images.
Okay. All right. I'm going to keep that in mind.
I think it's a very simple, keep it simple, stupid. Just scan the entire thing. Just crack it open, stick it on your glass. And because we all know you can't stick photographic film directly on the glass. There has to be a gap. But the hub on the disc film just lifts it up to where it needs to be.
I scanned my parents' wedding in Viewmaster. Remember Viewmaster?
Oh, sure. My God.
Oh, yes.
Did you just lay it on the flatbed, or how did you do it?
Yes, just like a pancake.
Well, and then because those are embedded between two pieces of cardboard, so the actual slide film, which is what that is elevated off the surface of the glass on Viewmaster slides too. So yeah, that would probably work fine too.
I can't imagine it's going to be hard to 3D print a jig for it either. So
yeah, probably could. Just you have to want to do it though. I mean, I don't know. Even as nerdy as this collection of guys are here, I don't know how many people are scanning disc film.
Well, I printed my own rig. I took apart a slide replicator lens attachment. and use the parts to 3D print like a rig for my phone to just kind of round those parts. So you just go like you just put insert a slide, and actually did a pretty decent job of digitizing all my old slides.
Hey, Vlad, you're wearing is that a Smina shirt?
No, that's Svema. Yeah,
Svena. Did the Soviet Union, was there ever any attempt to make a Soviet-specific film format? Did anybody ever try? Like their version of 35 millimeter or something like that?
Only not 35. There was some aerial film for like larger like AFA cameras that were put on like military planes. That had like a really wide format, almost like an IMAX type of film. But 35s and 120s were pretty much taken as like a European standard, since most of the there was also rapid cameras. So yeah, mostly standard. The F-21, remember that when they were cutting it, there was the KGB little camera.
Mm-hmm.
So it was cut to 21 millimeter. It was not manufactured.
You would, with that some people call it the Ajax too. Wasn't there a film slicer where you would just take regular 35 millimeter, fit it in there, and then it would just slice it down the middle?
Through. Yeah, there's two of them. There's the one that you pull through, and there was another one that you actually, it's like with a crank. That one's a really rare one to find. It's like a little machine. You put it with a crank, you just kind of rotate through it. It's kind of very cool looking too.
And since you're talking, what's going on with those tubs on the floor behind you?
Oh, I'm getting prepared for the camera shows. So there's going to be one in Chicago on the 22nd of February. So
February?
Yeah, I got like 4 tables of stuff. So, and just random stuff, to be honest. And actually,
I was going to ask you about that one.
So this is a camera from a shut down Russian drone in Ukraine that I got shipped here to US.
You mean that's not like a secret? What do they call that? A historical?
I don't think so. I mean, it's just I mean, yeah, it has night vision and everything, but I figured it's like fits my collection theme, so it's a crazy thing. I even have a video of that shutdown drone where that camera's attached. It's pretty interesting.
It's for people who can't see it. It's like a ball with like 3 lenses. I assume one's night vision, probably one's white light.
Yeah, there's some sensors. I think at least there's some kind of thermal sensor with an actual camera and next to it, and then there's just a regular camera, it seems like, and it's all beat up because it's been there's a dents in it, and one of the glass is missing in one of the cameras. So it's interesting piece. Sad, I guess, reminder of reality over there. So
yeah,
it's a historical piece for me, at least. Modern history.
You can adapt a graph lock back to it. That's what you do.
Well, I think most of the components, I was kind of looking in it, there's a lot of circuit boards in it, and I think a lot of them are made in China, and with some of the Western components, Western ICs. That's pretty interesting if you look electronically wise.
So Vlad, after Christmas, had a little get together at his house, and he invited me to. And I so badly wanted to come, but my family. We had gone visit my in-laws in Michigan, and the day he was doing it was the same day I was coming home, and there's just no way I could make it there. But Norris, is Norris still here? He went over, right?
I'm here. Yeah, it was great. We had Georgian food. Yeah.
What's it like going to see USSR Photos corporate headquarters?
It was overwhelming and really makes me ashamed of how small my collection is. And I've got like over 500 cameras. And it's so well organized. And Vlad was very generous in giving us the tour and serving us amazing food too at the same time.
I've had the pleasure of seeing some really awesome collections. Ira's, I've spoken about before, is amazing. Huge, just so much rare stuff. But Vlad gets the award for like best presented collection in terms of the cabinets he has, the LED lighting, all the little figurines and stuff. You have an old Soviet television on your mantle. You have a rack of photo snipers used out of like black nipple, like for like gas lines that you custom made. It's just so impressive, and you're such a generous host. I wish everybody could get a virtual tour of your collection because it's so nicely presented.
Thank you for the kind words.
He's got every camera you'd ever want to see, as long as it was made in the Soviet Union or Russia, or you have some Lomo stuff, right?
Yeah, I have some lomography stuff. I also, it's kind of anything that kind of stems from the Soviet tech or predates it or post-dates it, or anything with Cyrillic writing on it is pretty much my topic. Yeah, full 2 floors of the house filled with cameras. It's, yeah, I need help.
But aren't you in love with shooting with your FM2?
I'm sorry?
But aren't you in love with shooting with your FM2?
Oh,
your Nikon?
Yes, I do actually. I haven't shot with it in a while. I was trying the Pentax Super DMX Super. That's like actually a much more compact camera. I like that one a little bit better than the Nikon. The 1.2 lens is just so heavy to lug around, and to be honest, for some reason I like the 1.4 better on the Nikons. Mine's a pre-AI converted, so I don't know if you guys shot with that one. It was a little bit underwhelming. It looks cool, beautiful glass, but that old, I think the newer one I heard is a little bit better and sharper. But the Pentax MX, Super MX was just a very cute camera. It's kind of one of my favorites lately.
Is there a chance that we might have a Japanese section to the museum there, Vlad, at some point? Or
he doesn't have room.
Section is in the bins. Yeah, there's just no room. I mean, I have a few hanging off like a coat hangers, just because they're my shooters. But under the glass is the museum pieces.
Go ahead, Fernando.
I have a Narcissus in my list.
The Narcissus are very cool. It is truly a 16 millimeter SLR in every way, interchangeable lens mount, interchangeable viewfinders. They even make an M39 adapter for it, so you can just put like regular rangefinder, or because it's so tiny, you could put like pretty much any of those lenses on it, and it just works fine.
Yeah, I print my adapters for that. Lately, it's like if you have a 3D printer, it's so easy to print adapters for pretty much anything. Well, unlike, who was that? Jim Emerson, the Chicago Camera Show, he had a rig that he made them on some weird projection lens. He used like plumbing, so it was like a rubber pipe fitting with like a PVC pipe and then another rubber fitting and then a lens in there. It was absolutely crazy looking monstrosity, but it worked.
You had sold me, Vlad, a couple years ago, a Rubin 1, the zoom lens, that had been adapted by some previous owner to M42. And the original Rubin was meant for the Zenit 4, 5, and 6.
Right.
And it uses a variation of the DKL mount. It's not the DKL mount, but it's very similar. And the DKL mount does not have aperture control. So in order to convert the Rubin 1 to M42, you need to fabricate from scratch an aperture control on the lens. And it was done by like pieces of lead. And it's clearly homemade. But what you just described Jim doing, it's like we've almost kind of, I mean, although we're using 3D printers and, computer aided design, and stuff, but we're being true to what people back then were doing. They were taking things that didn't exist and they were just finding ways to make things work. And that's one of my favorite things about 3D printing today, is that it makes that ability much easier for a lot of people to do.
Yeah, most definitely. I actually, speaking of pipe fittings, I have a homemade photo sniper camera that's somebody used an Industar 37, was a large format lens for 18 by 24, and they basically just adapted like a big piece of, I don't know, I think it's iron pipe that just they put the thread in it and basically threaded it in, get the distance, and then attach the whole thing to like a gun mount. It's pretty interesting. So you get like the lens itself is like actually pretty short, but the most of it is just to get the distance. That thing is super, super heavy, but it's amazing how good of a quality that piece is. I can actually grab it and show it to you guys if you want.
I'm terrified to ever take mine out and shoot it. I want to. I mean, I think they'd be fun to shoot, but you're holding a sniper rifle that's a camera. And in today's climate, I don't know that I want to do that.
Well, we have a few people and vintage camera collectors that basically run into problems with these. One guy forgot it, had it in his suitcase, and he had it disassembled, and the gun part, the actual handle, he got flagged for that. I think he was in carry-on even, and so he got like detained at the airport. And another guy was shooting a full photo sniper. He was shooting some birds in Arizona, And all of a sudden, from what I heard, I don't know how true that story is, the FBI swooped in on him because he was apparently near an Air Force base there. And they thought, and somebody reported a man with a bazooka. So, yeah, those things are quite dangerous to walk around with. And I think there's also, what is it, the Leica Flex?
Novoflex.
Novoflex, yeah. Those are fairly rare, though, right, in comparison?
No, actually, the Novoflexes are more common than the photo snipers.
Really?
Yeah, they're. Mike, did you see the Novoflexes that were in the storage unit?
Yeah, they were there. There was some rifle backs, the stocks that you put up against your shoulder.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm holding mine here, but I mean, you hold this thing butted up against your shoulder for stability, and it works remarkably well. The photo snipers came standard with a 300 millimeter lens, and you think like how hard it is to hold a 300 millimeter telephoto lens stable shooting birds or something. And I mean, a tripod is still better, but if you don't have access to a tripod, it's remarkable at how stable this camera is when you're using it correctly.
Are they push-pull focus or are they helical focus?
No, it's you rotate it.
Okay. The Novoflex is going to be either a trigger focus or a push-pull.
The homemade one that I have is the one that you push. Let me grab it. I'll show you guys.
These were made for the Berlin Wall.
The last episode we did, at the end of the episode, Ron G had said that he had his Aero Liberator was on the way, and he just got it. So Vlad is showing his photo sniper with the push-pull. See, that's a copy of the Novoflex system.
Right. It's pretty well done. I mean, this is just a piece of pipe, and it's an Industar 37 just attached to the end of it. The rest of it is just hollow.
Don't ever ship that.
No.
Well, it got shipped to me from
you got lucky.
Ukraine. I don't remember. Yeah. It was a while ago, maybe.
With your shot down drone, same box. You're on a list somewhere.
This one was probably back in mid 2000s.
Oh, okay. All right. That's good then.
So Ron got his Aero Liberator, and he actually shot film through it. So Ron, how did it work out?
Great. I put about a dozen sheets of 4x5 through. 6 of them I've hit focus where I want to hit, but the other 6 are off. So it's going to take a little getting used to, but a blast of a camera.
Was that with the Aero Ectar?
Yes.
Okay. So for those of you who don't know,
Aero Liberator,
yeah. Yep. But the lens is the Aero Ectar, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay. So for those who don't know what that is, John Minnick rebuilds the cameras. The camera started out as 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. Mm-hmm. And then John converts them to 4x5, rebuilds the cameras, strips the covering off of them, and they're just works of art. They're beautiful finish on the wood. And I think most of them had the Aero Ectar lens, which is actually a lens that was made for aerial photography that has some very unique characteristics. They're also fairly high speed, so you don't have a lot of depth of field.
I got one for you here, Paul. Can you see mine?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That's a 2.5.
Yeah, this is the 7-inch, 178 millimeter. So the only Aero Ectar I have is still attached to the camera, so it's not going to be used on any Graflexes without some disassembly.
I'll grab my Liberator here. Ugh.
Greg, don't you have one of those also? Don't you have one of the Aero Ectars?
No, but I have a bunch. I have a K20, a K24, a K25. I mean, if you consider those Aero Ectars, yeah, I guess I do.
The 205s?
I couldn't tell you the focal length right off the top of my head. I know the F56 one I have is a 24-inch lens. I mean, the thing is freaking huge. But that came in like an 8-inch, I think a 15 and a 24. They had different sizes.
I mean, mine's the 7-inch, and the entire thing is just massive. So I can't imagine how big the 24 inch is. I mean, that's monstrous.
Which lens does yours have, Ron?
It's the 7-inch.
So it's the same one I have.
Yeah, 178 f2.5.
2.5, yep.
Yeah, I have a very similar one from MiG-21 second pilot camera that has like 2 handles and like a little what do you call this thing? The target thing you can look through.
Can you mechanically fire that? Can you fire the shutter?
It actually plugs into the airplane, so I do need the airplane.
Okay.
I was trying to import it, but it was an issue.
Since it's Soviet, it's probably 312 volts or something.
I do have the MiG-21 in parts, in small parts, that apparently the piece that it connects to, and then like some other piece that piece connects to, but I think I still need the power supply. But yeah, but this is like maybe like a 9 centimeter wide film on that too. So this is something very close to probably IMAX format. Mike, you were mentioning odd film format. So this is one of the military ones that has like a really wide, really large film.
Nice.
9-inch was a common aerial film back in the day. A lot of aerial cameras use 9-inch film. So
it's 9 centimeters.
Oh my God! Jeremy? What do you got there?
It's a 36-inch Type 1 telephoto Kodak.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
That's a beast.
That front element is about the size of a dinner plate almost.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That is an awesome end burner.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it's fun.
I would say that's probably not a triplet.
Don't leave it in the sun. Start a fire.
Well, I bought just a cheap basic Geiger counter, a radiation counter, and I was like playing with it one day trying to think of which lenses I have give off the most radiation. And I'm happy to say that the Aeroactar is only the second most radioactive lens I have. It definitely pegged it, though, off of whatever limited scale it had. So you got to be careful with some of those lenses. If you put too much of them to, your reproductive organs for hours on end, you might go sterile.
I own 4 of them, so I guess I should probably keep them in separate parts of the house.
Just don't point them all at the same time in the same location. I think it'll be okay.
Right. It's a hard hobby to start late in life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did all of my 7 elements, Super Takamar 51.4s at one point, and right there together, the radiation cranked up pretty hot.
Does it glow if you turn off the lights?
Just about.
You want to know what the most radioactive lens I have is? I mean, I was really surprised at this, but it's a Zeiss Pancolar 50 millimeter f1.8. It's M42. I have it on the Pentagon Super. And when I held the Geiger counter up to that thing, it pegged it 50% past even what the Aeroactar was. I did not expect a 60 Zeiss lens to be the most radioactive lens I have, but it is.
So why is it you guys have all this radiation when I bought the camera of an actual Chernobyl fire liquidation robot, and I put a Geiger counter on it, 0 radiation, even though the sensor was completely burned down by radiation. So I guess the metal doesn't retain radiation, but I guess the glass.
The glass, and it's actually lanthanum and
thorium coating.
Thorium. Lanthanum doesn't emit anything either, because I have the the Industar 61 LD, the lanthanum lenses, 0 radiation. So I was expecting a little bit, but it was just actually less than background.
Did it have the yellow tint to it though?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it had the yellow tint, just not the radiation.
Right. It has the yellow tint. I think it's but I think it's in between elements or something. It's I think it's a gas in between elements or something like that. But it's the thorium. I think that's the bad stuff.
Thorium has thorium has a footprint. I mean, you'll definitely see it on the thorium.
We need to find somebody to come on the show who works at Argonne National Laboratories and maybe teach us a little bit about radiation.
Or maybe not. That might just scare me away from all my lenses, right?
Honestly, I mean, in case anybody's really concerned about it, everything I've read is that even the highest, most radioactive camera lenses are still so far below anywhere remotely close to a danger zone that it's a fun thing to think about and see your little Geiger counter going off, the little lights going on, but you don't have to worry.
And you have to remember too, especially the lenses when you're shooting with them, you've got a camera body between you and it. So that's going to block pretty much all of it.
Right. I heard that the type of radiation that these lenses emit can be deflected with something as little as a piece of paper.
Well, if you're a photographer though, and you carry it around your neck 24/7, I can't imagine that's going to be really good for your health.
Well, it could be about the equivalent of eating a banana.
Yeah.
Or just get on an airplane and take a flight. You'll get lots of ionizing radiation.
Right.
more radiation from the sun, probably, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The main thing is don't smash the glass into a powder and ingest it, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, don't snort it up your nose.
So I'm not supposed to lick the rare element on this? Is that what you're telling me? All right. I've been doing that a lot. So
don't snort your lenses.
Oh, okay.
We got the name of this episode, Camerosity Podcast, episode 103. Don't snort your lenses.
Yeah.
Thanks, Vlad.
But you got a lot of guys who, the thing about the yellow tint to a lens, there's all kinds of information about how you get rid of them. You put them out, submit them to put them in the window and let them sit for 2 weeks. And it really makes no difference. I mean, the yellow tint is not going to be visible even on an Ektachrome. If anything, it's going to improve the.
If it's bad enough, it's like having a weak yellow filter.
I just have never seen that, but maybe.
I have before. I had John Minix cleaned up all 4 of mine, but it's almost like a weak tobacco filter. You know what I mean? It's just it warms stuff up, and if that's what you're going for, that's great. But
I tend to lean towards warm colors anyway, so honestly, it works better for me. But I can say that at least on the Pancolar and one of the Super Tacomars that was very yellow, you could you shot a piece of white paper and it didn't come out white, but it's negligible.
Did you submit them to what light is it? Is it a UV light?
UV.
Yeah, UV light source should, in theory,
it does.
over a period of time, get rid of that yellow tint.
24 hours. It does it pretty quickly.
So the window thing won't work if you've got newer windows that have UV filters.
UV block. So if you just get a UV light source.
I mean, a lot of people say UV. I have never found that to be the case. I think that's a bit of misinformation that came out with like killing fungus and all this other stuff, because the technicians that I learned it from, they used tungsten light bulbs, just regular tungsten old bulbs. It was before compact fluorescents and LEDs. And 24, 48 hours, that would clear them right up, and it just generated a lot of heat. And then after that, the popular thing for a while was an LED bulb and lamp on a little gooseneck from IKEA. That was the recommended thing in sort of the early 2000s.
I remember that.
That put out no UV, but it was really just the photons of light. And if there's some blue component to it, that should theoretically work. But even a tungsten bulb seems to do it just fine. So I don't think there's any need to spend money on a UV bulb and risk damage to your eyesight with it. And not to mention the fact that if it's an element deep within the lens, it's not going to pass through the other elements of glass very much, especially if they're cemented. So just regular light or a light bulb and you'll be fine.
Our Python, our snake has UV lights there, but I'm a bit hesitant to put lenses in the cage with the Python because I don't think that'll end well.
The big concern with the old belief that you stick them in the sun is not that couldn't still work, but you're actually going to do more damage to the lens by heating it up. The lubricants that are in there, I mean, you're pushing the heat in these lenses beyond what they're supposed to have. And you're actually encouraging sticky diaphragms and lubricant to maybe start traveling in places where it doesn't belong. So the UV light or tungsten light or whatever you're using, it's more important to make sure that the lens stays cool, because you don't want to actually heat it up, because you end up doing more damage to it than you're solving.
So the yellow tint is specifically for lanthanum lenses only, or are you guys talking about in general? If you put
thorium, for lanthanum and
thorium glass.
Yeah.
Normal lenses
yellows.
normally don't become yellow.
No.
Right.
The one that you don't want to do it to, though, is the Leica thread mount 50 millimeter f2 Summicron with serial numbers less than 1003, because those are rare earth class lenses, and they're very, very valuable. So if you see those and it looks yellow, leave it yellow and leave it alone.
And there's some lenses that had a normal coating that just appears golden yellow. So that's not it either. Like Minolta, I'm looking right now, I have a SRT 101 that whatever lens is on it just has kind of a brownish yellow lens coating. And that's not the same thing as yellow glass.
Right. The B-bar coating on some of the Fuji lenses, or Tamron lenses.
A good way to tell is if it's the coating, you shouldn't be able to see it when looking through the back of the lens.
Right.
If the coating is making it appear yellow, if you take the lens off and look through the back of it, it should be completely clear. If you take the lens off and you're looking through the back of it and it's still yellow, then that means the glass is yellowed, possibly due to radiation, or you know what I mean, radioactive.
The type of glass.
Right. And that's the kind that if you really want to, I did go out and buy a UV light. It was the kind of light that you're supposed to use for 3D printing. It helps cure certain types of plastics. Ira had told me that they had similar lights for dental fillings. They would apply a certain frequency of ultraviolet light on dental fillings to help them cure faster. And I just wrapped it in foil, put it in a box in my utility room overnight, and the next morning the yellow was gone.
Jeremy, what do you got there? Is that a 50-1.2?
No, it's the Canon FD 35 f2, the concave.
The concave. So that one.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see in here, but
I can see it.
See the yellow.
Yeah, you can see the yellow. Yep.
Yep. That's a lens that's very famous for being yellow, and it's probably not going to hurt anything.
Don't lick it, Jeremy. Don't lick it.
We still have like 15 people here on this show. A couple people we haven't really heard much from. Does anybody have any questions for us or new gas that they want to share? Maybe not quite as large as Theo's Frontier Scanner, but any topics that we haven't touched yet that someone wants to bring up?
Yes, I have a TLR with focal plane shutter.
Is that a Fothflex?
Yes, exactly.
Very cool.
It's great. And the son, the Foth Derby. It's a nice family. Just joined my collection.
I have a Fothflex I got from Kurt. The camera works perfectly. The shutter fires at every speed, except the curtains are like women's nylons. I mean, there's more holes than there's not holes. So.
Oh, this is perfect.
Oh, no. Not mine. I'm so frustrated that it actually works fine. It's just whatever rubber coating that they used on those curtains when it was new has like literally evaporated.
Oh, so sad.
What do you got there, Jeremy? Oh, he's holding up his Geiger counter.
Yeah, I've got my Geiger counter with that 35 f2 backed up to it. You can see it's around 340
counts per minute.
Is that bad or is that good?
It's a pretty hot one. It might be the hottest one I've got. But I can also demonstrate what happens when you throw it on a body and what you're going to have right there at you.
So what he did was he held up his tool to the lens itself, and it showed a reading of 308 counts per minute. Now he's mounted that same lens to a Canon body, and he's putting the thing behind the camera, and it's dropped to 190, 187, 184.
Yeah, it'll take a full minute to get down to its, actual count of where it is there. But I mean,
we're already about half the radiation is
keep
already
dropping
gone.
And dropping.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's at 144. So he's showing that by nature of even having the lens on the camera, a large amount of that radiation is already being absorbed. It's at 100 now. I assume it's going to get to a point where it's equivalent to background.
Yeah, your normal background's around 20, so we'll see how far down it gets to.
74. So yeah, any concerns about shooting these cameras with them hanging from your neck? The camera itself is shielding you already from anywhere. And it's honestly, even at 300, it's probably not dangerous, but it's not a real concern you should be worried about.
I picked up this Rolleiflex.
Very cool.
For Christmas.
So it's a Rolleiflex with not interchangeable lenses, it's...
Correct. It's built with a 135 millimeter lens instead of the 80 millimeter lens. Mm-hmm. And this one dates from about 1960.
So would that have been used for portraits?
Yeah, but it doesn't focus close enough, as I've learned, to properly do a head and shoulders kind of portrait. And they have a crazy close-up lens system that mounts to the front, and it's got a hinged viewer called a Rolleinar that goes on front of it. And I might hunt one of them down. But this was kind of not a holy grail camera, but one I got kind of obsessed with and decided I wanted to have one because I quite love my Rolleiflex 2.8. And I thought, well, let's get one with a little more reach.
I have the sister camera to that.
Oh, the wide. Oh, those are rare as hell.
This is the Rolleiflex with the Carl Zeiss Distagon 55 millimeter f4 is the taking lens.
Wow.
And the viewfinder lens is a Haito Smat 55 f4.
Yeah, the Rolleiflex is a 135 Sonar f4.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, did you say what the minimum focus distance was?
No, I think it's 2.6 meters. On the focusing reel, it says I can get up to 8.5 feet with a 135. So it's not really, I think you get about half length. And then anything closer, you're just too close.
So this one, the minimum is 0.6 meters. So like what, a foot and a half?
2 feet, yeah.
Yeah.
That's almost close enough to get parallax problems.
Oh yeah. Well, and with the wide angle, you never know what you're going to see.
Exactly.
But it's still fun.
Paul, I remember messaging you a while back, maybe a year ago or so, about a lens that I was looking for. It was a 55 millimeter f2.8 macro, either Soligor or Sears. And I ended up getting one of each. And one is Nikon mount and one is an M42 mount. But I'm really loving, well, both of them are optically about the same. But I love this one because it's got that old, the old grooves.
Oh, yeah, the focusing ring, the knurled.
Yeah, but they were, to me, inspired by the Vivitar Series 1 90 millimeter f2.5. Mm-hmm. I just love these lenses. And Theo, it's not a 135. So, but yeah, these two lenses are just so gorgeous. And there's one of these on eBay right now that's $427. I got this for way less than that.
Does it go half-life size or is it 1-to-1?
Yeah, half-life size, which is fine for me. I'm not as much of a macro shooter as I probably should be.
I can't remember who made those. They were available under a name called Elicar, Elicar. And I'm not sure if they were actually the manufacturer or if that was just a trade name.
Well, did you say Soligor? Did you say Soligor, Mario?
Yeah. One of them was a Soligor. The Nikon one is a Soligor and the same optical design, but branded Sears.
Are there any letters in front or behind the serial number?
The serial number doesn't have, it's just a plain old serial number.
Okay.
But it's a Soligor CD. But then on the Sears, it has on the bottom, you can't really see it, but a letter P. And
that's just Pentax mount.
Oh, okay.
I think that lens is the Elicar.
Okay.
That one is because I recognize the way the front is inset.
Okay. Yeah, they've got basically a built-in lens hood because of the recessed front element, which is really nice.
Those are very nice lenses.
Have you tried portraits with those, Mario?
Well, I just recently got them, but I have shot some images of my family and some other people, and they are nice. But I'm using expired film and stuff like that. So if I shot it with fresh, crisp film, it might give me a different result or a better result.
But it's also, it would throw, because they've got such a shallow depth of field with macro lenses, you can get a really nice out of depth, bokeh, use the trendy word, bokeh in the background as well with macro lenses.
Well, that's what I've done with the Series 1 90 millimeter. Really good portraits with this one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm really loving these lenses.
So we're starting to see slightly more people from Discord joining us. We have fairly lively discussions there that do tend to get off topic, but they seem to randomly come back at any point. There was a lively discussion recently, earlier this morning, about the merits of the Nikon S2 rangefinder, the viewfinder, and people weren't aware of how truly good that viewfinder is, despite my adulation for that camera. Quite often we talk about how much I like the Nikon S2, but there are those who just rangefinders aren't for them, and if that's you, that's okay too.
Here's Mike. Speaking of that, I actually picked up an interesting lens for a Nikon rangefinder. It's a 13.5 centimeter f4. It's an early one with occupied in Japan. This one is actually one of 6 made in the serial number range, quite apparently.
Wow. Does it have a C anywhere on the side of it?
A C?
Engraved into the metal?
That'd be for context.
No, this is a Nikon S. No, it doesn't.
I have one of those, Mike.
They made that exact lens, Vlad, both for Nikon S, like you said, but they also have a Contax version of that.
There's a Canon version of that. So they have a LTM version and
really? Okay.
A Nikon S. So it's actually half and half. It's about 1,000 of these made. Mm-hmm. And so the next number up is actually a Canon mount. It was an LTM, and this is a Nikon S. It's a Nippon Kagaku Tokyo, like 90,000 a range. So quite an interesting piece.
Do you have any Nikon rangefinders to put it on?
I have Kiev's.
It won't focus right though, unless you're at infinity.
Okay.
Vlad and I were texting about this specific lens, and at first I just dismissed it. I'm like, I got 3 of those because I got a whole bunch of Nikon rangefinders, the S series, and didn't realize it was an F4, and apparently quite rare. The LTM versions were selling for like $1,000 on eBay, but haven't seen any in the S mount. So now I got my eyes peeled for one for my cameras.
Norris, you know he's just going to sell it to you. Vlad's not going to keep a Nikon rangefinder lens for long.
I want to start accumulating cameras to trade them or buy from them or something.
We'll talk.
I was going to show off a rare camera for you guys. I don't think many of you have seen it before. This is a Milfred Candlematic. It's rarely referred. I only seen it in reference once online by a German magazine called Cabinet. It's a camera that was made in Los Angeles by a Hollywood producer. It is a automatic wind advanced camera. Sorry for the shine. It's very shiny. It's in actually excellent condition. I've seen only one other camera online, and it's pretty much rusted out.
Wow, it's so shiny it crashes zoom.
It's like a mirror on the back of it.
It's very shiny. I polished it. It wasn't this shiny when I got it, but I did clean it.
What's interesting is the viewfinder's on the bottom of the camera, and the shutter and lens are actually closer to the top. So he's holding it. The wind knob is on the bottom of the camera. The shutter release is near the top too, right?
It's very awkward. I don't know if it's because of age, but it was designed. I read the patent. It was supposed to do up to 15 shots in 5 seconds or something.
Okay.
But I can only get 2 going at a time.
Well, you said it was made in Los Angeles, so I assume that someone in the movie industry, or at least who is familiar with cinema cameras, wanted to create this as maybe some kind of supplement. Well, I don't know what they would use it for, but it probably was made for the motion picture industry. Or something.
Yeah, it was a film director in Hollywood. I can't remember his name. I'll have to look up the reference point again. But I don't think there were too many of these made because of how awkward it was. It was very, very unsuccessful, and they lost a lot of money and they stopped producing it.
I think because of the viewfinder on the bottom, I think this is actually meant to be held vertically, because it would be really awkward to look for a viewfinder on the bottom of the camera. So I think it's like the Voskhod camera.
I could tell that Ira had dropped off because he was here earlier, because he did not speak up when Norris held that thing up, because that is right up his alley. That's the kind of camera.
I did send this to Ira, a photo of it, and he was quite interested. His first response was, "What the heck is that?" Which, coming from Ira, I think it's a compliment. It's something he hasn't seen before.
Norris, is it full frame 35?
It's a 35 millimeter.
Right. Okay, I can see inside now. So it is a 24 by 36 regular 35 millimeter. It's not half frame is what I was getting to.
Yeah.
Or 24.
What year is this?
1936 or 37, I believe.
I had received an email from a reader his name is Philip Haloun, Haloun, and he knows Ira too. This guy is a camera technician, Czech Republic. And he had come across a folding 6x6 camera, very similar to German design. It looks like it may even be like inspired by like a Kodak, a Nagel Kodak, but it doesn't have the features of any camera we could find. It looks like a homebrew kind of one-off type camera, similar to that thing that Norris was showing where, maybe only single digits were ever made. But the thing that was so remarkable about this camera that Philip had shown me is how well it was made. I mean, the engravings of the metal, the body castings were professionally done. It has a folding bed focus system in which, like, you focus the lens by sliding the entire bed forward and backwards, which you wouldn't see on like a cheap homemade camera. It had a Compur rapid shutter with a good lens, and he was asking if I could identify it or if I knew anything about it, and I had not. Ira hadn't heard of it. This guy hadn't heard of it. And, there is a very small subset of, I sometimes call them Franken cameras because a lot of times they're made using parts from other cameras. That thing that you have there, Norris, has a Woolen sack shutter and lens that maybe was sourced from something different. Who knows? But there was a lot of people in that era that was just kind of like, maybe they didn't have the money or they were just really good with their hands and said, I could just build something that'll do what I want rather than buy it. And those things are a ton of fun to collect, but unfortunately, like, finding information about them is impossible. There's just nothing out there. But that's really cool. I'm glad you showed that because you had shown me pictures of that thing a couple weeks ago, and it's neat.
I found the patent. It says it was designed to do 15 shots in 5 seconds.
That's, I think, the exact same number that the Bell & Howell Photon was supposed to be able to do.
I'm still fascinated by ergonomics of this. Can you hold that other one like vertically next to your face? I'm just curious how that. I think that's it's supposed to be vertical. Like, hold it vertically to your eye. Yeah, like that. And then is it easy to like press the shutter button?
Yeah, I guess it makes sense that maybe that's how you use it. That's a very interesting. So I guess you just shoot it like this.
Since you may be the only one of those, only person with one of those, we're just going to decide right here and now that that's how it's supposed to be used.
Yeah, because if you look at the winding, it's perfectly placed for your other hand, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I think we're making headway here.
Like a Soviet Voskhod, which is also made to be shot vertically, so the ergonomics are the match. Yeah.
This actually makes sense for a film director who invented this or created this because, the old cameras, I'm assuming.
I just stood up and I stubbed my toe on my Aero Ektar.
Oh my God.
I didn't put it away. It's hurting. It hurt.
Now he's radioactive and he's got superpowers.
Well, on that note, does anybody else have anything else they want to share or ask or anything? I have no new gas. The only thing I wanted to comment on, I made a quick post on the Facebook page, but I had a Leica 3A that had the vulcanite was chipped off, and I was like, well, it's already half off. I might as well remove the rest of it. So I chipped the rest of it off. It came off really easily, and I wanted to get a new skin for it. So I had ordered from cameraleather.com before, but it had been years. The guy who runs that is a gentleman named Morgan Sparks, which I've always had good luck with, but I know some people always haven't. Unfortunately, has probably one of the worst websites you could possibly have. It's horrible. So if you're interested in getting something from him, you basically just have to email him. But he always responded to me really quickly. He showed me like sample images of some of the different textures that he offers, what he recommended for a specific camera. And most importantly, he sent me the skin pretty quickly, and it fit absolutely perfectly. For those of you who've ever reskinned a Barnack Leica or any similar camera, it's one single piece of leather that just wraps entirely around the body, and it meets in a very tiny strip below the lens mount. Like if you actually look at a Leica, a genuine Leica with any kind of body covering, there's a tiny little seam directly below the lens mount. So when the two ends of the leather wrap around, that's where they need to touch. And if you don't cut that leather absolutely perfectly, it'll either be too short or it'll overlap. And it fit perfectly. It fit around the slow speed dial. It fit around the strap lugs. I think it looks really nice. So there's obviously other options out there. Hugo Studio still exists. Kiyozahi in Japan is very good too. I'm sure there's probably a couple others out there too, but just a +1 for Morgan at Camera Leather. He did a good job.
Yeah, I've got a 3C that I just got in that had no vulcanite that somebody had actually painted on the inside all black. So it looks nice like it is, but I'm going to need to do that same thing that you did, get some new.
Mine was black under the vulcanite. I think that's original. When I peeled my vulcanite off, it was black under there.
All right. Well, either way. Hey, can I swing back real quick to all the way at the beginning of the film scanning thing? Something I was surprised not to hear from anybody with how much gear that everyone has is a very, especially for 35 millimeter, a very simple solution with the old bellows and the slide copier mount. Yeah, so I got, this Pentax bellows and Rodenstock lens on there with that, and it's just super simple. And I imagine a lot of you guys have this same stuff, and it's just a real quick, simple option to scan.
It works brilliantly unless you got a pile of slides to do, and then it's sort of slow. But it works. It works brilliantly.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to go fast. Yeah.
Back in the day when I was doing a lot of slide duplicating, that's the setup that I used until I got a Repronar or a Bowens Lumitran. But one of the coolest things that is very helpful, shoot a couple of slides of a gray card. So you make a gray slide and use that to take your meter reading off of, unless you're using a mirrorless camera where you can see what you're going to get. But if you make yourself a gray slide for duplicating film, it's really a handy thing to have a gray slide, because that'll give you the exact exposure, for what you're.
I attached X Pro 2 to one of these, and it took almost 30 seconds per exposure to make one. I don't know why. Maybe I was doing it wrong, but it took a very long exposure to get a normal picture.
You might need a stronger light source then at that point.
Yeah, it's either light source or.
I had an LED light source, but I was shooting on a low ISO, so maybe.
Yeah, low ISO, stop down, more than you probably might have needed to be.
Yeah. I don't know why I wasn't happy with that, so I took it apart and made 3D printed a rig.
You'll be happy, Vlad. I got my new 3D printer today. Last week, but we started playing with it. So I had been venting to Vlad. I got a Bamboo Labs, the P2S, and I had nothing but problems with it. I'm convinced it was defective because I went backwards to the P1S, and so far the thing's been rock solid. We haven't had any of the problems with it. So yeah, doing the same things that I had done, whether it was from the app or using the slicer, we haven't had a single failure yet, whereas that old one, even sitting it on the table, the amount that the printer shook while it was printing, the P2S was way more jerky than the P1 is. So even though it's an older model, I think maybe the new one has some kinks that they need to work out possibly.
Well, I'm glad I didn't upgrade.
The screen is very nice. I will give it that. It has better lighting. I like the way that the build plate attaches better. It's much easier to get it centered on the new one. So there are some and then the AMS has a dehumidifier built into it, whereas the original one didn't. So there are some worthwhile upgrades to the P2S, but if it doesn't work, then it doesn't matter.
100%.
All right. Well, I want to thank all of you guys for coming. I mean, we had an amazing turnout. I dragged my feet this time. I was really bad about getting the show announcement out on time, but clearly that had no ill effect for us. But I'm really excited to have you guys here. Our next show is 3 weeks from today if we stick to the same schedule, which makes it Groundhog's Day, February 2nd. Theo, you're going to be in Japan though, right?
I will be, yes.
Yeah, so Theo will miss us, but he'll be gallivanting across Japanese camera stores. Mark Faulkner just got back from Japan, so he showed me some of his pickups that he got from some of the stores he went to. So Theo, have fun in Japan. Hopefully, whatever episode we have after that, you can tell us some fun stories.
I'm sure I will. I sure will.
Once again, I can't tell you any planned topic for the next show because I have like 2 ideas of things that I'm trying to nail out by getting some special guests on, but I don't have dates yet for them. So I don't want to say anything until I know for sure that they're committed to doing it. But we will get some cool special guests coming up, some themed episodes. This one turned out to be really fun. We had a ton of really great discussion that flowed nicely. And I say it every time, but as always, the topics and discussions on the Camerosity podcast are influenced by you guys. And once again, this episode was a perfect example of that because we did not come planned with talking about anything other than Theo's Frontier Scanner. And we had some great conversations. So it's great to see you, Vlad. It's great to see you, Mario. Dan Cuny already had to sign off. Some of the guys from Discord coming. I'm happy to see you here. All the regulars, of course, we appreciate. Ron G, thank you for coming back and sharing with us your Liberator. Yeah, I could go through the whole list, so I'm not going to do that. But thank you guys for coming, and everybody have a good rest of your week.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Have a wonderful week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Well, I saw your post you did, Theo, as Camerosity Podcast. Like, what, 3 hours before the show? Isn't that you who did that, or was that Paul?
No.
It wasn't me.
Who posts
you.
under the actual Camerosity Podcast name?
I thought that was you.
No, I don't have access to that.
Huh.
That wasn't you, Theo?
No, that wasn't me.
Must have been Anthony.
Yeah.
Maybe it's him then.
Would Denise say it would be responsible for something?
I don't remember.
A link or something?
Yeah, I mean, I'm scrolling and it got buried already. But somebody posted earlier today under the actual Camerosity Podcast account that we're recording tonight.